Let's take you to Sokoto State, where large hectares of farmlands in Binji and Silame have been destroyed due to heavy rainfall experienced in the last 2 weeks. Several houses and other buildings were also affected, with many residents displaced. Farmers in the affected communities have raised concerns over the huge losses suffered as large portions of the crops planted have been washed away. A lawmaker representing Binji Silame Federal Constituency, Mani Maishinko Kantami, has sympathized with the affected victims and encouraged them to replant some of the crops and minimize the impact of the loss. And to discuss more about the implications and, of course, the environmental impact this is having on areas affected by this disaster is an environmental activist, Philip Jakpo, and he is the founder, Ravages Development Initiative. Good to have you on the news at 10 tonight. So first off, let's have your assessment now on the government's response to the recurring flooding crisis in Nigeria, which we understand is worsened by climate change, deforestation, and of course land degradation.
Well, first of all, thank you and good evening. Thank you for having me on the news. Well, most times when I hear the government blame climate change for what we're experiencing in the communities, I shudder, because climate change ends with just the rains, but how we manage the flooding is another thing. So the current situation as we have is as a result of government not being able to manage the situation properly. Now, every response we have seen, including what is happening in Sokoto and elsewhere, has been more of ad hoc response. It has not been preemptive. We had some time to plan with the August break. Apart from Lagos State, where we see some level of interventions, destruction or removal of properties that, block, free flow of water. Most other states are just there, waiting to collect ecological funds. And shockingly, I think most of the states, about 40 billion has been received by the states across the Federation for addressing, ecological crisis like what we're experiencing now. But unfortunately, most of them have not done anything meaningful to prepare for this level of flooding and to ameliorate the plight of the people.
So beyond that short-term palliatives like relief materials and visits and donations, what sustainable solutions now would you proffer to address this issue in the long term?
I think it's at the level of federal and state government, synergy in actions. At the state level, for instance, that's where we expect the actions like opening of the canals, ensuring that the floodplains are open, and then awareness so that people know what is coming. At the federal level, that's where we expect agencies like NEMA to also work with the state emergency agencies to address, the impacts of the flooding. But at a bigger level, we should look at, sensitizing people and preparing people for this kind of crisis that we are having. In Sokoto and elsewhere, we've had flooding, a lot of farmlands are underwater, a lot of crops have been destroyed, which will ultimately worsen the hunger crisis we have in the country. And most of these farmers are going to be left alone to carry the burden of this disaster that has befallen them. Many of paddy rice farms are underwater, maize farms are underwater, and some of these farmers got loans to be able to farm. And the implication is going to be very, very big, sometime from December upwards, when the food crisis is going to hit very, very hard. So it's a serious crisis, and the states have not been able to, the states and the federal government have not been able to manage it very, very well.
Leave it at that. And now, thank you so much, Philip Jakpo, environment activist and founder, Ravages Development Initiative. We appreciate your insights on the news at 10 tonight.
Thank you for having me.